right, Shalom. First and foremost, we would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS when we rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right. What I want to get into this morning, is a lesson dealing with the kingdom within. All right, which is a lesson inspired by the book of Luke, the 17th chapter. Okay, and this is going into the teachings, of Yahweh Shai. Okay, and he makes a statement dealing with the kingdom. As the Pharisees are asking him, about the kingdom. They're looking for, at that time they was looking for actual, real estate. you know, they was looking for buildings and infrastructure to be going up, but the thing that had to be built up was our mind. Okay, and we're going to get into these things, how the kingdom starts within us. Now, what I want to do is the book of Luke, chapter 17, all right, verse 28. It says, it's like verse 20. It says, and when he was demanded of the Pharisees, all right, when the kingdom of the Most High should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of the Most High cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, lo here or lo there. Okay, for behold, the kingdom of the Most High is within you. Okay, and what was Yahweh Shah speaking of when he made the statement and said the kingdom of the Most High is within you? It's within us. Okay, remember the kingdom is starting from an idea. When you look at any ancient empire, one thing that stands out is particular kings, that will pretty much take an average nation, a nation just from being like an average nation in the earth to being a superpower. And we know it's always the Lord that's coordinating, how that works, but because the Lord, he set the one up and put it one down, as we've been going over in the book of Daniel. All right, the Lord, sets the stage for certain empires to come in power and certain empires to go out of power. And what you realize when you study these things, there was always this one king that will pretty much, put things in place. He would have a vision that would put his kingdom, okay, in a position of superpower status, and that kingdom, the empire, will be running off the mindset of one man. See, that's why, like, today, the value of men have been so watered down, because of all these conveniences, which, is men that make these conveniences, function and maintain. But just the thought that one man, his vision, the way he thinks, governs an entire realm. Okay? And that's what our forefathers did. And see, the kingdom being within for an Israelite man is us, all right, moving in the wisdom and in the faith of our power. As we're going to go into different accounts of King David. See, the kingdom was already within David. Okay? That's why when, matter of fact, let's get that account. When Samuel went to go anoint the next king of Israel, all right, and you go to Samuel, now when you go to here, this is 1 Samuel 16 and 7. Now, when all David's older brothers, Samuel was looking at them, and the Lord was saying, that's not him, that's not him, that's not him. Okay? And then he got to the point when the Lord told Samuel this. All right, this is 1 Samuel 16 and 7. It said, but the Lord Yahweh said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance or on his height, all right, of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart, which is your mind, your spirit. You see, the Lord already had put the kingdom within David. You see? So the Lord knew, all right, that nah, that ain't them. I put the kingdom within him. See, you looking at the outward appearance. You know, people look at, the outward appearance and, the accolades, someone has outwardly. Okay? But the kingdom, every empire starts with a particular mindset, a particular man that will come to power with a particular mindset that will start making decisions and different moves in the earth that will forward their nation. And King David, he was there for us, back during this time. Okay? Moses said, no, I'm looking inwardly. Going back to what Yahushua said, what the kingdom is within you. Okay? So there's certain men whom the Lord has already put the kingdom within them. And this preaching and this teaching, as we reading and researching and coming back to the rehearsing of righteous acts, is being drawn out of us. Okay, that's why you see brothers moving in a different way. See, the scriptures is teaching us kingdom behavior. Okay, well, we start to maneuver and move as kings. We're becoming this. We're becoming what we're reading. We're becoming these great men that we read about, man. Okay, and it's through repetition. Now, go from there. I want to get this in First John. All right, then we'll go back. Matter of fact, let's get these accounts. Get these accounts dealing with King David. Now, when you go to 1 Samuel, all right, 18:5. Okay, one thing that you will hear about King David's character is a certain way that he would carry himself even before he was king. All right, now this is let me see, make sure I got it right. Yeah, this is 1 Samuel 18:5, and it says, and David went out. All right, 1 Samuel 18:5, it says, and David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. He behaved himself wisely, and Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. See, everybody was drawn to David's conduct. The scriptures say he behaved himself wisely. Okay, let's get this word wisely. You see, and then the nation began to be drawn to David's, how he moved, how he maneuvered, how he handled things. Like the nation began to be drawn to King David. All right, that was before he was king. But the kingdom, remember, the kingdom was already within David. Okay. Now, get that word wisely. All right, which is in the Hebrew shakal. All right, it said to be prudent, to be circumspect, to understand, to prosper, to have insight, to have comprehension. Okay, to have insight, to have comprehension. And that's because the spirit was on David. Well, he can comprehend. See, when you can comprehend things in the spirit, okay, that puts you, on another frequency of thinking. It puts you on another level of thinking when you have a comprehension of spiritual things. And David had that, That's why he was able to move and make decisions how he was moving. All right, and we're going to get further into it. Okay. So let's go from there. I think the same chapter is it 1 Samuel. All right, 1 Samuel 18:14, and it says, now this is 1 Samuel 18:12. It says, and Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with him. And Saul seen it, and Saul, turned into a whole ass nigga, because he's seen, like, he's seeing the people being drawn to David. He's hearing the cheers for David. He's hearing the conversations about David. You know, you gotta think like he's hearing nothing but good things, you know, concerning King David. You know, and the Lord put that whole ass nigga spirit on him, and he was tripping. All right, and it says, and Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with him, and he was departed from Saul. Therefore Saul removed him from him and made him his captain over 1,000. And he went out and came in before the people. And David behaved himself wisely in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. Okay, you see the steady, you know, record of David behaving wisely and the Lord being with him. Okay, and it says, wherefore, when Saul saw that he behaved himself very wisely, he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David because he went out and came in before them. See, King David was like a champion. All right, he was a like you think of like how niggas like LeBron and Jordan and you know like nah, but King David was a true champion because you go to a champion, you know, back in the ancient world, they'll be your best warrior, okay? And that's what Goliath was. He was a champion for the Philistines, and David became a champion, all right, for the Israelite military because if you're a king, okay, you want to use as less resources as possible. So if you go to a full-out war where it's your military versus another nation's military, both of y'all are going to use a lot of resources, okay? So sometimes in the ancient world, what they'll do, they be like, well, look, you get your best warrior, we'll get our best warrior. All right, and that's what they would call their champion. And whoever win, okay, that wins the war. That way, a lot of lives are saved. Okay, a lot of resources are saved. Okay, you ain't gotta do, you know, rebuilding and doing like no, you know, it's just quick. You know, let's get to the point. All right, and they work out that agreement. So David was that champion for Israel, and not only did he do that, he just kept going. Like he went on the run. You know, we talk about Goliath, but that was just the beginning of David's run. You know, when he fought Goliath, that was the beginning, you know, of David. You see, that was the beginning of his legacy, man. Okay, so the nation was like, this the guy. Like everybody, then the way he behaved himself, you know, he was humble. You know, he was always giving praises to the Lord. You know, so he's out here doing these great things, but he's giving reverences to Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, and he was putting on for his people. Okay, King David was putting on for the whole nation. Like, you know, niggas talking about putting on when they, you know, bring bricks to the neighborhood. Like, yeah, I put my city on, you know, destroying their people. But no, King David really put on a whole nother level. Okay, he was out there putting on. He was young. Okay, he was young. Okay, but the Lord was with him, and he was putting on, and the nation was just drawn to him. Why? Because it was a kingdom within David. Okay, so let's go from there. It's First Samuel 18:30. It says, then the princes of the Philistines went forth, and it came to pass after they went forth that David behaved himself more wisely than all the servants of Saul, so that his name was much said by. So David, you know, the way he was moving, even the Philistines was like, damn, you know, like David the Lord was making David a great name in the earth, man, you know, and it was all under, all right, David's faith and his obedience, man. Okay, and you read in the NLT, 1 Samuel 18:30, it says, every time the commanders of the Philistines attacked David, all right, it says, every time the commanders of the Philistines attacked, David was more successful against them, all right, than all the rest of Saul's officers. So David's name became very famous. Okay, so you see, the Lord was utilizing King David to do what, man? Okay, to take Israel from being mediocre to superpower. Okay, and the house of David is raised up in this time through the spirit and power, Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, and the nation is transitioning to the tail to the head, man. You know? So you go from there. Now I want to get this account. This is First Samuel. All right, let's get this in First Samuel, um, 23. Yep, 23. Now we have to really understand. We talk about King David and Jonathan. King David and Jonathan, and how they had this close bond. You know, and we have to realize, when you go into that relationship, you gotta remember, Saul was the heir. Jonathan was the heir to his father Saul to be the next king. You know, and Jonathan probably could have been twice, David's age. All right, he probably could have been twice King David's age. You know, you go into the scholars try to pinpoint the age. Some, put Jonathan at being 30. When King David was like 15, 16. But just to show you the dynamic of this whole situation that was going on. And when you go to First Samuel 23 and 17, and he said unto him, I started. This is First Samuel 23 and 15. It says, and David saw that Saul was come out to seek his life, and David was in the wilderness of Ziph in the wood. And Jonathan, Saul's son, rose and went to David in the woods and strengthened his hand in the Most High. Okay? You see that? That was his guy. And he said unto him, fear not, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find thee, and thou shalt be king over Israel, and I shall be next unto thee, and thou also, Saul my father, knoweth. Okay? So Jonathan is telling him, look, fear not, you're going to be the next king. What did Jonathan just do? Jonathan pretty much just denounced his inheritance and said, look, you're going to be the next king, because he seen the kingdom in David. And he was telling David, like, look, my daddy know this. Like, this ain't, the kingdom was just oozing off of King David. It was no question. You see, it was just the kingdom just started pouring off of King David. So Jonathan, he denounced his inheritance to be next king, to be like, look, you gonna be king. My daddy know this. Everybody know this. Okay? But remember, it started when Samuel anointed him, and the Most High says, I don't look like y'all look. I look at the inward man, because he knew what he had placed in David. And now we're seeing what the Lord placed in David. It was starting to show. Everybody was seeing it like, dang, this him. You see? So you can imagine Saul on the throne, where how Jake be talking. How Jake be talking, King David out there just going on a rampage. You see? Nothing but good reports. So them reports were coming back, and Saul was bugging out. But Jonathan had the humility to be like, look, man, you the guy. He's going back to they seen the kingdom within them, man. All right. Now I got one more account. Then we'll go into prophecy. This is First Samuel. What's that? So 25. All right. Now this is the account. When Abigail intercedes. King David. He was on the way. All right, to do the house and the ball in. The ball handled him kind of rough. David. He felt some type of way. Which if he would have, killed the ball and those men of his house, he wouldn't have been justified. Because at the end of the day, he did a good deed to Nabal. All right, but him and Nabal didn't have nothing worked out. So Nabal really didn't owe him nothing. But he didn't have to handle him like that neither. The way he handled it. Who was Jesse's son? Like then David, everybody everybody knew David, man. But you know how the niggas is, man. Who was Jesse's son? He handled him kind of rough, and David, he felt some type of way, and he was finna go do the whole house in. He was en route. He was finna pull up. But Abigail, she intercedes and stops King David from doing that. And then she's going to explain why, you know. So this is 1 Samuel 25:18. It said, then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine and 5 sheep ready dressed and 5 measures of parched corn and 100 clusters of raisin and 200 cakes of fig and laid them on asses. And she said unto her servants, go on, okay, go on before me. Behold, I come after you. All right, so she's sending, pretty much the victuals, okay, the food and gifts, okay, before them to appease, David's wrath, okay, similar like what Jacob did with Esau, to Jacob sent, gifts to appease, Esau's wrath. All right, and it says, and it was so as she rode on the ass that she came down by the cover of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met her. And David had said, surely in vain have I kept all this fellow half in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertained unto him, and he hath requited me evil for good. So and more also do the Most High unto the enemies of David, if I leave of all that pertain to him by morning light that pisseth against the wall. So King David pretty much had his mind made up, because he said he gonna pretty much kill everyone that pisses against the wall. Speaking of all the men, okay, he pissed against the wall. Only men, do that. They would piss against the wall. Now you have a feminist woman, have her leg cocked up, trying to prove a point. But the saying comes from pretty much all the men in the household. Uh, Verse 23 says, and when Abigail saw David, she hastily lighted off her ass and fell down before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground and fell at his feet and said, upon me, my Lord, upon me, let this iniquity be, and let thy handmaid, I pray thee, speak in the audience and hear the words of thy handmaid. And see, you guys understand the courage, that it took for Abigail to do that. She had to have faith, because she's going to try to appease David in his wrath, King David and his mighty men. She's out there, pretty much just put herself out there, and she's not knowing how how this reaction gonna be, So she pretty much put herself out there, to protect innocent people, and that shows you her courage and her integrity, and her faith, And it says, let not my Lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, thy handmaid, saw not the young men of my Lord whom thou didst send. Now therefore, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, seeing the Lord have withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and from avenging thyself with thy own hand, now let thine enemies and they that seek evil to my Lord be as Nabal. So she's like, look, my husband, she like, look, this nigga be tripping, okay? This nigga be tripping. I didn't see your man, because if she would have seen him, she would have, looked out on him, But she said, look, don't even worry about this nigga here. This just, this how this nigga is, man. And she understanding, like, the way this nigga behaving himself, it ain't gonna end good. She had to understand, like, the way this nigga going, it ain't gonna end good. But she's telling King David, don't even worry about that. That's why she sunk those victuals, and appeased David's wrath. It says, and now this blessing which thy hand may have brought unto my Lord, let it be given unto the young men that follow my Lord. I pray thee, forgive the trespass of thine handmaid, for the Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord fighteth the battles of the Lord, and evil have not been found in thee all thy days. So you see the reputation of David, So the Lord, she said, the Lord gonna make David a sure house. She seen it, okay? That's why she was telling David, don't worry about this. And you gotta understand the dynamic of this situation. David's pretty much homeless at this time. Her husband Nabal, he had a great inheritance, like, cause he come from that line of Caleb, and if you remember, Caleb got the biggest portion of land, when they came into the land of Canaan, which is Israel, during the time of Joshua. So Nabal was a wealthy man. He was an extremely wealthy man. Okay, but she knew by Nabal's behavior, okay, he wasn't gonna be around. But then she knew David, she seen David's conduct and what David was doing, and she was like, look, the Lord gonna make you a sure house. Okay, don't worry about this nigga. So she's disregarding a wealthy man, and pretty much David, like I said, King David was homeless at this point. He was in the wilderness on the run. But guess what? The kingdom was still within him. You see, the kingdom was still within them. That's why it's nothing that, like, when we lose these things in the time to come, that don't matter. Like, we're gonna be homeless soon, but guess what? That don't matter. The kingdom is still within us. The kingdom move with us, and that's how, us as men, we have to think, men in this truth, men that truly believe, the followers of Yahushua. That's how we have to think. Like, the kingdom is within us. No matter where we go, the kingdom is within, and that's why King David had that reputation. No matter what he was, even he was amongst the heathens, he was amongst his people. He was, wherever he was at, he had the reputation of behaving himself wisely. Okay, not doing evil. He had that reputation, man. And the scriptures teach us kingdom behavior, how to move. Okay, it's within us how we should be. Okay, and it says, um, and it says, it says, yet a man is risen. All right, I'll read it again. This is 1 Samuel 25:28. So I pray thee forgive the trespass of thy handmaid, for the Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house, because my Lord fighteth the battles of the Lord Yahweh. Okay, and evil have not been found in indeed all thy days. And David was fighting, those physical battles, going to war physically. Okay, but we're going into war in the spirit, you know. and Israel is looking at these, like, now Israel is looking YouTube and seeing men fighting these battles, in the spirit for Yahweh Shema Shai. Verse 29, yet a man is risen to pursue thee, speaking of Saul, and to seek thy soul, but the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of life with the Lord thy power, and the souls of thy enemies, them shall he sling out as out of the middle of a sling. So this shows you that all Israel was witnessing how Saul was tripping, and how David, was still in order through that whole situation. King David remained in order, and he didn't avenge himself of Saul. Okay, so that's why Abigail, like, nah, we not gonna put a stain on your character. Okay, messing with this nigga here. Like, nah, that ain't, she like, I risk my life, because I know what the Lord finna do with you. She said that this shall be no grief unto thee. Now, verse 30 says, and it shall come to pass when the Lord shall have done to my Lord according to all the good that he hath spoken concerning thee, and shall have appointed thee ruler over Israel. Okay? Then she said, look, so the Lord gonna make you ruler over Israel. Okay? And the Lord gonna deal with these niggas, man. Saul, she brought against Saul, So they was following, like, they was following King David's, life. Like, it was a, like, it's a, what they, this was a real live reality show, man. And King David was a star character, man. And Israel was watching, So she was like, that nigga Saul, my husband, look, don't even worry about them. Most High gonna deal with your enemies. You keep moving how you moving, like, that's how the reputation that King David had. Why? Because the kingdom was within. Okay, so let's go here to, let's go Wisdom Solomon. Sixth chapter. And we'll, end it here. You know, I just pray it's just making sense. You know, just trying to drive home the point. All right, this is Wisdom Solomon 6. Okay, and 17 said, for the true beginning of her, and the her is wisdom, is a desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love. And see, this kingdom, you know, is being built on discipline. You know, there's a certain discipline that's required. You know, discipline is the foundation of any kingdom. You know, is there has to be a discipline as the foundation to maintain any organization, any system, any rulership. Discipline has to be, all right, at the foundation of it, man. Okay? And it says, and love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption, and incorruption maketh us near unto the Most High. And King David was so near because of how he handled himself, his conduct. Okay? Beginning with his faith. All right? And it says, therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. King David was brought to a kingdom by what? He kept handling himself wisely. Wisely. He had the discipline, not the offside. Okay? And then when he finna get undisciplined, the Lord, hey, set up, you know, Abigail, you know, to like, nah, you know, hey, stay doing what you're doing. Okay? But yeah, he had that discipline, he had that faith, and he was handling himself wisely, man. Okay? And it says, if your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, earn the wisdom that you may reign forevermore. As for wisdom, what she is and how she came up, I will tell you, and will not hide mysteries from you, but will seek her out from the beginning of her nativity, all right, bringing the knowledge of her into light, and will not pass over the truth. Okay? Now, when you go to verse 24, it says, but the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world, and as a king, all right, and a wise king is the upholding of his people. Okay? So in the multitude of the wise, that's the house of David. Okay? Beginning with Yahushua and King David under him, and then the rest of the 144,000, okay, those men, all right, that are going to rule the earth in righteous wisdom, okay, and that's going to be the upholding of this current society, man, all right, of this new society of righteousness, because this society is going to be destroyed, but in the kingdom, all right, the kingdom going to be established in righteousness, okay, through the wisdom of the house of David, man, okay. And it says, receive therefore instruction through my words, and it shall do you good. Okay? So the kingdom is, the Lord put the kingdom within each, all right, brother that's going to be of that governing body. The kingdom is already within those men. You know, it's being drawn out, and it's starting to show, okay, more and more in the earth, man. All right? And now Esau is in their stead, all right, of King Saul, and wanted to what? Put a stop to it, man, but he can't. You know, this is above him. Okay, just like it was above Saul. Saul couldn't stop David. That's why Jonathan said, you gonna be king of Israel. And my father know it. And these Edomites know it, man. You know? You think, you think the earth, you know, is gonna continue to run and function in this wickedness? No, man. The Lord is going to establish, all right, the throne of David in the earth, man. Okay? So there was a point, you know, Lord will, you brothers and you sisters will edify to the next time I say Shalom. Kwam Yashala, Abba Babal, DTA Soon, Shalom.